Hello, I am Lois Turaki, and here are the latest in today's top stories. Let's begin with Japanese crime boss admits plot to sell nuclear material to Iran. Crowd crush at India's Tirupati temple kills 6 visitors. Brazil commemorates January 8th Capitol attack anniversary. At least 5 dead as thousands flee wildfires in Los Angeles. And Chad says army foils attack on presidential complex. 19 dead. Stay with me for these and more stories. Authorities in the United States have said a Japanese crime boss has pleaded guilty to collaborating to sell nuclear material from Myanmar to Iran, along with drug trafficking and weapons offenses. On Wednesday, Takeshi Ibasawa, 60, a member of the Yakuza, entered a guilty plea to 6 counts in federal court in Manhattan, the U.S. Department of Justice said in a statement. He is set to be sentenced on April 9th. Ibisawa in 2020, according to prosecutors, told an undercover agent for Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA) and a DEA source that he had acquired a large quantity of thorium and uranium that he wished to sell. In response to his repeated inquiries, the undercover agent agreed to assist Ibisawa broker the sale of the nuclear materials to an associate who was posing as an Iranian general, prosecutors said. Ibisawa then offered to supply the undercover associate with plutonium that will be even better and more powerful than uranium for making nuclear weapons, according to prosecutors. Justice Department said a powdery yellow substance that Ibisawa's co-conspirators showed to undercover agents was later determined in a laboratory analysis to contain detectable quantities of uranium, thorium, and plutonium. Ibisawa also conspired to broker the procurement of U.S.-made surface-to-air missiles and heavy-duty weaponry and multiple ethnic armed groups in Myanmar, and to accept huge quantities of heroin and methamphetamine as partial payments for the arms, according to prosecutors. U.S. officials said they conducted Ibisawa's arrest and prosecution in cooperation with law enforcement partners in Indonesia, Japan, and Thailand. Assistant Attorney General Matthew G. Olsen of the Justice Department's National Security Division said, and I quote, "Today's plea should serve as a stark reminder to those who imperil our national security by trafficking weapons-grade plutonium and other dangerous materials on behalf of organized criminal syndicates that the Department of Justice will hold you accountable to the fullest extent of the law." Ibisawa, who was earlier charged in 2022 with international drug trafficking and firearms offenses, faces possible life imprisonment for the most serious of the charges. No less than 6 people have been crushed to death and dozens wounded as a crowd surged at one of the most visited Hindu religious sites at Tirupati town in India's southern state of Andhra Pradesh. A huge crowd assembled to collect free entrance tokens to visit the town's Sri Venkateswara Swami temple when the crush occurred on Wednesday night. Prem Kumar Jain, spokesperson of the state's ruling Telugu Desam party, said, according to report, that the unfortunate incident has claimed the lives of 6 devotees. "I pray to God to give peace to the departed souls." Devotees from across India had since early on Wednesday started to congregate for a 10-day festival at the temple that starts on Friday. Authorities have set up counters to distribute free tokens from Thursday to visit the closely 2,000-year-old temple, but the crowd pushed and jostled, according to the office of N. Chandrababu Naidu, Chief Minister of the state. In a statement, Naidu said that deaths grieved me intensely. Deadly accidents are common at places of worship in India during major religious festivals due to poor crowd management and safety lapses. Up to 121 people were killed in Hathras town of the northern Uttar Pradesh state during a Hindu religious gathering in July last year. Another 112 people died in 2016 after a huge explosion caused by a banned fireworks display marking the Hindu New Year at a temple in the southern Kerala state. Wednesday's incident came days before the beginning of the Kumbh Mela, a 6-week Hindu festival of prayer and sacred bathing anticipated to be the biggest religious gathering in the history. Up to 400 million pilgrims are expected to attend, according to the organizers. Now, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, Brazilian president, has marked the second anniversary of an attack on government buildings with a celebration in the plaza where the violence took place. On Wednesday, Lula, who underwent surgery last month to treat bleeding in his brain, appeared in the Three Powers Plaza in the capital, Brasilia, denounced the riots of January 8, 2023, which he has equated to a coup against his presidency. He also used the occasion to project rebelliousness in the wake of the attack, which saw thousands of protesters break into the presidential palace, Supreme Court building, and Congress. Today is the day to say loud and clear, "We're still here," Lula told his supporters. "We're here to say that we are alive and that democracy is alive, contrary to what the January 8, 2023 coup plotters had planned." January 8th came just 7 days after Lula, a left-wing leader, had been inaugurated for a non-consecutive third term. Lula was not in the presidential palace at the time, nor was Brazil's Congress in session. But the attack caused millions of dollars in damage, and dozens of law enforcement officers and protesters were wounded. Several of the rioters had sought to spur a military insurrection against his presidency. Lula's election had been narrowed. He entered a runoff race against incumbent President Jair Bolsonaro in October 2022 and emerged victorious by one of the tightest margins in Brazilian history. Just over 2.1 million voters separated the two candidates. But the far-right Bolsonaro had been spreading false claims well before the poll that Brazil's electronic voting system was vulnerable to fraud, and he refused to publicly acknowledge defeat in the wake of the vote. That triggered widespread protests, with Bolsonaro supporters blocking highways and attacking police headquarters in Brasilia. A bomb threat in the capital was even reported in the lead-up to the inauguration. Bolsonaro left the country for Florida before Lula took power. He has since returned to the country, where he faces many legal cases and probes. Some relate to his role in spreading misinformation about the election, as well as his connection to the attack on January 8, 2023. Talking climate crisis, California Governor Gavin Newsom said, according to reports, that at least 5 people have died as several wind-driven fires blazing across Los Angeles County remain majorly uncontained. The latest breakout is the Sunset Fire in the Hollywood Hills, where evacuation orders have been issued. It is the most destructive fire in LA history. The Palisades Fire, that is scorching the seaside area between Malibu and Santa Monica, has exploded to over 15,800 acres with zero containment. It has damaged at least 1,000 structures, making it the most destructive ever in Los Angeles County. The other massive blaze, the fast-moving Eaton Fire, is overtaking homes across Altadena. The fire ballooned over 10,000 acres and is now threatening about 13,000 buildings. All schools in the Los Angeles Unified School District, the nation's second largest, will be closed on Thursday as fires have picked up across the county. In the Palisades, 2 schools have been burnt to the ground. Firefighters have spent days doing whatever possible to fight fires across the county, as sturdy winds and low humidity made for difficult conditions. According to the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, Palisades Fire at least 15,832 acres and 0% contained. Eaton Fire at least 10,000 acres and 0% contained. Hurst Fire at least 855 acres and 10% contained. Lydia Fire at least 348 acres and 40% contained, and Sunset Fire at least 60 acres and 0% contained. With wind speeds easing on Wednesday, helicopters were able to get back in the air and drop water and fire retardants in an effort to contain the fires and protect property having formerly been disrupted by high winds. In Africa's shores, no less than 19 people have been killed in Chad, where security forces said they had stopped an attempt by armed forces to storm the presidential complex in the capital, N'Djamena. On Wednesday evening, at least 18 of a force of 24 armed men were killed in the failed assault on the president's office, the government said, and 1 member of the security forces also died in the gunfights. Chad's foreign minister and government spokesperson Abdurrahman Koulamala said there were 18 dead and 6 injured among the attackers, and we suffered 1 death and 3 injured, one of them seriously. Hours after the shooting, Kulamala said the situation is completely under control. The destabilization effort was put down. The attack coincided with an official visit by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to Chad. Hours before the shooting began, Wang Yi had met with Chad's President Mohamed Idris Deby and other senior officials. Deby was in the presidential complex at the time of the attack, according to Kulamala. Deby seized power after rebels killed his father, long-standing President Idris Deby, in 2021. The older Deby had ruled Chad since a coup in the early 1990s. A security source said, according to reports, that the attackers were members of Boko Haram armed group, but Kulamala later said that they were probably not rebels, describing them instead as drunken, hapless groups. A security source also said the incident was likely an attempted terrorist attack. The attack comes less than 2 weeks after Chad held a contested general poll that the government lauded as a major step towards ending military rule, but that was marked by low turnout and opposition allegations of fraud. A call by the opposition for voters to boycott the polls left the field open for candidates aligned with the president. Stay tuned for more breaking news and in-depth reports after this short break. Please don't go anywhere. You're welcome back, and we have stories now from Nigeria. We begin with federal government 9 billion naira e-border project fails to curb bandits and aliens. In spite of federal government multi-billion naira border surveillance systems unveiled in 2019, illegal migrants, some of whom have been recognized as bandits, terrorists and kidnappers, continue to cross into Nigeria from the republics of Chad, Benin, Niger, and Mali and Cameroon. This is as Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, the Minister of Interior, said e-border surveillance is now being mounted across the nation's borders with its neighboring countries. At the launch of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Technology Innovation Complex in early December 2024, the minister said around 250 trained immigration service personnel run 24-hour shifts at the e-border control center. Some foreigners, however, still cross to Nigeria from the Republic of Benin through the Buruten-Kaima border post, despite the closure of the border by the federal government. According to report, checks from residents of border communities in the Buruten local government area of Kwara State discovered that illegal immigrants still cross the border into the country daily. The immediate past chairman of Buruten Local Government Council, Abdul Rashid Abdullahi, said citizens of the Benin Republic are still migrating into the country through many illegal routes. The Federal Executive Council approved 52 billion naira for the e-border surveillance system in 2019 to monitor and provide real-time information from major border posts nationally. However, the project faced stalls due to funding challenges and did not begin until 2022. Nigeria's extensive borders, covering roughly 5,330 kilometers, have numerous illegal entry points and present ongoing security challenges. The Nigeria Immigration Service says it has since deployed advanced e-border solutions to more than 80 crossing points nationwide, marking the project's first phase. It says the e-border system offers real-time 24/7 monitoring and intelligence, enabling better tracking and management of border activities. Meanwhile, the Iselu of Iselu, Ogun State Oba Akintunde Akinyemi, on Monday said the purported 9 billion naira e-border control system project initiated under the Buhari government has failed to check the influx of illegal migrants into the country. The royal father said there has been a steady surge in the number of illegal migrants moving into the country from the Benin Republic due to the absence of tangible barricades or landmarks demarcating the borders of both countries. He attributed the influx of illegal migrants for the increase in crime. He expressed doubts about the existence of any e-border control system along the land border with neighboring Benin Republic. Meanwhile, minister says federal government won't approve 400% tariff hike for telcos. Dr. Bosun Tijani, Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, has said telecom tariffs will soon rise. However, he assured Nigerians that what will be approved will not be the 100% telecom operators we're pushing for at the moment. The minister, who revealed this at a stakeholders meeting with mobile network operators MNOs in Abuja yesterday, said consultations and engagements were ongoing to arrive at an acceptable rate. He assured that the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) will soon approve the latest tariffs and make it public to Nigerians. Also noting that the federal government will no longer leave investments on infrastructure in the sector to private companies alone, saying, as a country, over time, we have left these investments in the hands of the private sector. They typically invest where they can see returns in the short to medium term. The Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Dr. Aminu Maida, in his remarks said the meeting with stakeholders was about the sustainability of the industry, adding that the NCC had put a number of tools and instruments in place by revising its quality of service regulations for compliance service quality. He said MNOs must comply to show Nigeria's charges per minute for voice calls, SMS, and megabytes of data. And finally on the news, EFCC detains 10 officers for alleged theft of missing items. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has apprehended 10 officers in its Lagos Zonal Command following probe regarding some missing items connected to them. The officers, who were detained last week on the directives of the Executive Chairman, Ola Olukoyede, are interrogated relating to the theft of some operational items from which they could not be accountable. Dele Oyewole, EFCC spokesperson, stated that investigators are making good progress, stressing that those found culpable will be subjected to internal disciplinary processes. Oyewole stated that the development was part of ongoing efforts by EFCC Chairman Ola Olukoyede to rid the Commission of corrupt practices. He explained that the officers were arrested last week following directives from the EFCC boss. Recall that the EFCC also announced on Monday the dismissal of 27 officers as part of its efforts to enforce integrity and combat fraud. Oyewole noted that these officers were involved in fraudulent activities and misconduct in 2024. He said their dismissal was ratified by the EFCC chairman based on recommendations from the Anti-Graft Staff Disciplinary Committee. Olukoyede reaffirmed the EFCC's commitment to zero tolerance for corruption, cautioning that no officer will be immune to disciplinary action. To refresh our memories, Japanese crime boss admits plot to sell nuclear material to Iran. Crowd crush at India's Tirupati temple kills 6 visitors. Brazil commemorates January 8th capital attack anniversary. At least 5 dead as thousands flee wildfires in Los Angeles. And in Africa, Chad says army foils attack on presidential complex. 19 people dead. And that's all on the news. Thanks for watching from all the crew. Have a blessed day.